Okay, okay, we're good. We're started.
Okay, so we have all these different types of messianic figures that are discussed. One of the guys, I think he's referred to as Saria ben Dan. I'm going to try to look that up.
Mm-hmm.
Related to the tribe of Dan. Not sure how. Mm-hmm. Then we have the Kohen Tzedek, or there's sections of the Gemara, which I could remember, that talk about these different types of messianic figures. One of them is the righteous priest, Kohen Tzedek. I'm not sure if it's something that sounds like that. Okay, apparently could be a messianic figure specifically for the Kahanim, for the Leviim. Obviously related to Aaron. And then you have obviously Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David. And I'm leaving somebody out too. Not sure. But yeah, there's a lot to decipher here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something.
Yeah.
My parents, they were in Muncie a couple of days ago. They were buying wine.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy they were buying from was listening to our podcast, which shocked me.
That was probably my business partner.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. You know?
Yes, that was Yeshua, my business partner. Yes.
He has a wine store in Muncie.
He doesn't. He's the manager. He's not the owner.
Gotcha.
But yes, he's listening to our podcast. Correct. Yeah.
Right. And so is he the one that lives nearby to?
He lives near Rabbi Weisberg. Yeah. In Pomona.
Okay, so I mean, we're studying right now Rabbi Weisberg's teachings.
Sichos.
No, they are actually. You know, he published. The Rebbe asked him to summarize a sicha, to write off one of the Rebbe's teachings, and then after he edited it, meaning the Rebbe edited it, it was published in Likutei Sichos. So he actually wrote one of the Likutei Sichos, Rabbi Weisberg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he was described to me by Rabbi Rifkin in New Orleans as somebody who wanted to kind of bridge the gap between the Kabbalah of the Gaon and Chassidus.
Interesting. Is Weisberg want to do that?
Rabbi Weisberg is the guy, who's been trying to do that.
Oh my God, this is so funny. What did I just saw the funny meme. What did the Rebbe think about this?
I don't know. I never actually got into that aspect of it. I just heard that from Rabbi Rifkin. I never got a chance to explore that, but that would be a question to ask Rabbi Weisberg. You know, if you get to have him on, if there's time.
Can I read something to you about the Rebbe?
Yeah.
Somebody posted an op-ed on Arutz Sheva. The op-ed is entitled. I'll tell you that. 1 second. It basically asks the question, why didn't the Rebbe make Aliyah? This guy, so I'm just going to read it real quick. This thing here, why Rabbi Menachem Elishneerson didn't make Aliyah, never visited Israel, what that means for Chabad today. Written by Yishai Amichai. I don't know who this guy is. Before answering this question, out of respect to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, to his credit, it must be noted that the Rebbe was a staunch supporter of Israel, more specifically of its Jewish inhabitants, but less so of its secular government policies. The Rebbe did encourage many Jews to make Aliyah, more on the personal level, not as a public statement, but he also discouraged many others from making Aliyah, specifically those involved in Jewish education and community leadership whose presence is an asset for their diaspora communities. The Rebbe was asked on many occasions why he did not make Aliyah. He gave various reasons, mostly related to his duties in Brooklyn, the world headquarters of Chabad, and de facto capital. Okay, whatever. Headquarters and capitals can be moved, but people are more hesitant to relocate. The Rebbe, for example, arrived in New York as a refugee. Were it not for World War II, he would have probably stayed in Europe, the birthplace of Hasidic Judaism. The Rebbe's ship was anchored in Brooklyn, and as captain of that ship, the Rebbe was reluctant to leave. This was an analogy reportedly used by the Rebbe in conversation with Ariel Sharon. Sharon asked the Rebbe why he did not act like a commanding officer who marches ahead of his troops to Israel. The Rebbe replied that in many cases it is forbidden for the commanding officer to go first, such as the case of a captain of an endangered ship. The captain is the last to leave, which is similar to another explanation given by the Rebbe in a letter from 1983, which he wrote about the first duty of a Jew, of any human being, to fulfill his mission in the place where he lives, and only after he has done everything expected of him locally to consider whether he should go to another place to carry out his mission there. The Rebbe considered it his duty to combat the alienation from Yiddishkeit, loss of Jewish identity, intermarriage, and outright assimilation of Jews in America. This was likely the sinking ship feeling he was referring to, and would explain his unwillingness to abandon ship so long as Jews remained in peril in Brooklyn and in America. Had the Rebbe made Aliyah, many Jews would have followed him, but they would have likely have been his closest followers, the ones in the least need of help. And who were the most needed in America? The way the Rebbe saw it, his abandoning ship with all his officers would have been a very irresponsible act. The way the Rebbe saw it. It is said of the Rebbe that ever since he assumed leadership in 1951, he never left New York. The Rebbe obviously took his job very seriously and was completely dedicated to his mission, such that he never took a day off. After his wife passed away, he moved into his office. Listen, I know that he never, he only went to the Ohel, and he was just like in his house or at 770. That's it. Out of all places, clearly the Rebbe wanted to visit Israel, as related to Rebbe Shlomo Goren, that were he to leave New York, Israel would be the first place he would visit. The Rebbe obviously spent a lot of time thinking about Israel and took an immense interest in it. Why then did he not visit Israel? In a film conversation from 1991, the Rebbe gave the following reason. Were he to visit Israel, the Rebbe wasn't sure if he would be allowed to return to Brooklyn from a halachic point of view. This included the possibility that his leaving Israel would be construed negatively as favoring America over Israel. The Rebbe felt that he had very important work to do in America and therefore denied himself the right to even be visiting Israel. This was certainly self-sacrifice on his part. He was obviously holding himself to very high standards. The Rebbe did not favor America or himself over Israel. Quite the opposite. He was doing what he thought was best for his congregants and for Jews everywhere. Whether you agree with this assessment or not, clearly the Rebbe recognized the importance of Jews living in Israel, fulfilling mitzvot. Oh, this is like a video. The Rebbe recognized that he was not complete in his observance of Torah, but he did not live in Israel. Nonetheless, the Rebbe was willing to compromise on his own wholeness because he had the wholeness of other Jews in mind, particularly lost Jews whom he wished to rescue, even if that meant remaining with them in exile. Instead of going himself, the Rebbe sent his emissaries all over the world to be there for Jews wherever they may be, even if they were just passing through. This included places like Siberia, where a Chabad emissary arrived from Israel after the Rebbe's death, but the Rebbe also sent emissaries to Israel. This concept of sending emissaries to strengthen and help Jews wherever they may be involves at its core a redistribution of assets and resources. In areas where Chabad and greater Jewish community are strong, and producing a surplus of talented rabbis income, Chabad wisely redirects that surplus to other places. A more recent example includes a rabbi from Israel hoping to move with his family to Saudi Arabia. Blah, blah, blah. No, I just want to get to here. Let's get to making sure.
When is this op-ed from?
What? This is Archava. On the other hand, the Rebbe constantly spoke of the Mashiach and likewise expressed his wish for all Jews to return to Israel hastily in our days. This included a prayer for himself, as he obviously wished to be included with all the Jews in Israel. The Chabad organization seems to be managing well in his absence, but for someone so concerned with his work that he refused to take a day off or leave New York, it is odd that the Rebbe did not choose a successor. Perhaps the Rebbe was so sure that Mashiach would come to take over that he saw no need for a new Lubavitcher Rebbe to replace him. The Rebbe passed away in 1994. The new generation of Chabad emissaries have not met him personally. He sends them off on their missions posthumously with an arsenal of written material and videos to motivate them. 27 years later, one must ask, how long can that last? How long can Chabad remain the vibrant and successful organization it is now without a charismatic leader to guide it. The emissaries around today are obviously still touched by the Rebbe's charisma, but were it not for the messianic fervor, they would probably be running low on fuel by now. The Rebbe must have known this, and it seems that he was betting all or nothing on the coming of the Mashiach, which means that one day, hopefully very soon, all the hard work and resources dedicated to preserving and strengthening Jewish life in exile should be redirected towards bringing Jews to Israel. The fortunes invested in real estate, synagogues, mikvahs, schools, daycares, community centers should one day be liquidated and reinvested in Israel. All the exceptional emissaries that Chabad has produced should one day be called upon to bring their congregants and all the Jews that they are in contact with to Israel for the ingathering of the exiles. The Rebbe was right about the sinking ship analogy, but the day will come when those ships will have sunk. The Rebbe sent his crew to board those ships and calm down their hysterical passengers, to prevent Jews from jumping overboard into the icy and tumultuous waters until they may be brought closer to shore. That shore is Israel, and ultimately all life-seeking Jews must disembark there. So these guys kind of push Aliyah. So this is a response. Yeah. So check this out.
How about this? I think the Rebbe probably foresaw a little bit about what's going on in Israel right now.
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe that wasn't the good.
Yeah.
Didn't want to. They poisoned the majority of the Jewish people in Israel.
Yep.
And perhaps he wanted to leave the Jews in a place where at least they have more of a choice.
Yeah.
Like in Florida.
Yeah.
So
this guy wrote a response to this. He posted a meme with all the shluchim in front of the kotel, like the kinus.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says, today our Sheva posted an op-ed exploring the question why the Rebbe did not make Aliyah. Here's my comment. In my opinion, the main issue is not the holy Rebbe of blessed memory. The philosophy of Chabad movement, the philosophy which the Rebbe inherited from his predecessors, is anti-Zionist. This is the philosophy itself. In another week, they will celebrate the Chabad holiday, marking the release of the Baal Tanya, the founder of Chabad, from prison in Russia after 53 days in jail. In contrast, they do not celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut or Yom Yerushalayim, along with the great majority of the nation. The fact is that with all of their work and effort since Chabad arrived in America in 1940, the rate of assimilation in America has only skyrocketed up to 70%, and intermarriage is increasing at an unstoppable pace all the time. Since the exile is a curse that was never meant to last, this phenomenon is a natural outcome of Jews remaining in a foreign, Gentile land when it could be avoided by coming to Israel, where assimilation is far less, 6%. In addition, the fact that Chabad keeps its center in New York allows the Jews of America to say, why should we make Aliyah when all the holy Jews of Chabad stay here? That's what my dad actually said. She's like, the Rebbe never made Aliyah when I wanted to make Aliyah. Who can measure the immense spiritual and material blessing which a mass Aliyah of Chabad would cause in Israel and the world? That could indeed bring the Mashiach, instead of singing a catchy tune in Brooklyn and waiting for the Mashiach to come on a magic carpet and do all the hard work of rebuilding Israelite nation. So this guy's like a rough cook guy. So
yeah, everybody. It's very, very difficult to. That's the definition of a Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not interested in what this guy has to say at all, especially because, when you're talking about somebody on the level of the Rebbe or even Rav Kook, right?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear their conversation.
Yeah, of course.
But not, these little echoes that might not even be echoing the original material.
Yeah.
I don't trust any. It's very difficult to trust any one of these people.
Yeah.
Nowadays, because
of course.
Well, look what's happening. I mean, the majority of Israel has been poisoned.
Yeah.
Is he a culprit in this? I don't know. Possibly. Right? Where does he stand on that?
Dude, your phone is a little quiet. You have your hand on it or something? The receiver?
No. Can you hear me better now?
No, it's good. It's just quiet. No, it's fine. Anyway.
So, I mean, that's a good litmus test to see if a person really has any common sense.
Yeah.
If they really have any intuition. Because you could read something, you could regurgitate some ideas, but the question is, do you have any common sense? Do you have some kind of instinct as to how to apply the knowledge that you are quoting, or the opinions that you are quoting.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to make that assessment nowadays. It's almost impossible, really. Although a good litmus test would be to see what is your stance on having the entire population become guinea pigs.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that? I mean, to me, it just makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
That I found something, by the way. Can I read to you? It's very, very short.
Yeah.
According to the Zohar, Saria ben Dan will arrive with the Mashiach to fight against their enemies. The Zohar says, so that his rider shall fall backward. That is Saria, who's prophesied to come with the Messiah, with the Mashiach ben Ephraim. That's Mashiach ben Yosef.
Yeah.
And he will come from the tribe of Dan. And he will take vengeance and war against the other nations. When he will rise, then Israel shall be redeemed. As it is written, quote, I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. That's from the Zohar.
Saria so who is this Saria ben Dan?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've heard the term, and this is the first.
Can you spell that for me?
It's spelled here. Excuse me. SARIYA.
SARAIYA.
SARI, like Isaac.
Yeah.
YA.
Sorry. There you go.
Ben John.
Son of Dan.
You know what sparked? You know what reminded me? Because of Gideon Sa'ar.
Yeah.
Right.
Huh.
Every time I hear that name, it reminds me of that. Yeah. I don't think he's Zaria ben Dan. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Where did you find this? Where are you reading this?
Okay, so this is, I did this on Google, and this is Hebrew Union College Annual. Trying to see. Hebrew Union College Annual, volumes 84 through 85.
Interesting.
It's like a like Google Read type thing.
Yeah. No, I just couldn't find it.
Go on.
Interesting. Couldn't find it. Anyway.
Okay, there's another one here. Wait. On Facebook. No, that's not. Anyway, I heard it from Rabbi Katz. Because he discusses, these topics a lot. So, be very interested to look into it. So
we were talking about this whole 1992. I mean, I was reading in Rabbi Winston's book that it's basically 40 years of kibbutz galia. So you're talking about from 1990 to 2030, because 2030 it's 6,000 minus 210, which is give you 5790.
Okay.
So he's talking about we see that the Soviet Union fell 1990, and then you're gonna have 40 years of what's it called, kibbutz galiot, in gathering of the exiles, and then you get what's it called, and then you get Tchiyat HaMesim. Resurrection of the dead.
So that begins 210 years before the year 6000.
Yeah.
Rabbi Kessin taught us that it's not necessarily so that everybody gets up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's likely that people get up at different times within that 210-year process.
What is going to be the reaction of people when they just see like why does it need to be on 210 years that people resurrect? And does it? And by the way, is death going to cease then for everybody?
So
you understand my question, right? Let's
say
we're still alive, and people start resurrecting. So basically,
Right.
everybody's going to be alive for 200. Like they're going to be. Everybody's no. That's it. No more death.
I heard Rabbi Kessin say that people have to die for a second.
Oh wow.
I heard the Rebbe say no death required whatsoever.
Oh goodness.
I'm gonna hold by the Rebbe because the idea was it's something like my soul is like dust. So he quoted. It was Pasuk in Tehillim. Let my soul be like dust to all. The idea being that people have gone through, especially within the time of Mashiach, people have been deconstructed and reconstructed. People have been humiliated and to have their spirit ripped, pureed, and then if that happens, like while a person is alive, they are considered like dead.
Yeah.
When they heal from that, that's like a resurrection of the dead.
Yeah.
So that there's a lot of statements about who is considered dead, who is considered alive, right?
Yeah.
Chazal, they'll say like, oh, if somebody is deaf, they are like dead. If somebody, for instance, when Eliphaz encountered his uncle Yaakov, right?
Yeah.
He's like, Dad told me to kill you. I don't know what to do. He's like, all right. He goes, you're a good boy, Eliphaz. Here's what you'll do. You'll take all of my wealth, everything, right, and leave me with no possessions whatsoever. That's as if that is equivalent to you killing me. And that's what he did. Humiliating someone is like killing them. You have all these statements from Chazal. Okay, and there's a lot more too. A wicked person is dead, is not considered alive. Right? So there's plenty of room. There's plenty of room for the lenient opinion.
Yeah.
It left it. There's a lot to where to grab from. But Sephardish guy, a Litvish guy, they're gonna go for. What they're gonna go for. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Gehenna. They're gonna go for the fear factor.
They're gonna go for the fear factor.
Joe Rogan's fear factor. Can I ask you a question? Speaking of fear factor.
Sure.
I mean, we mentioned this before. When I come to talk about, to make parallels between what's going on now and the atrocity in the 40s, okay, so people's first reaction obviously is to get offended. But when you tell them, hey, I'm not talking about the camps. What I'm talking about is the lead up to the camps. You tell them like, hey, do you know that there was this whole 10 or 15-year process of propaganda, of dividing people, of turning neighbors against, their neighbor, people against their neighbor. It wasn't just like somebody snapped a finger and, hey, camps, welcome to the camps. Like, why are people incapable of listening to, like, people who otherwise know that this government's lying and all this kind of stuff? These same people are not capable of listening to the actual education or this explanation.
For a couple of reasons.
And it's like they don't know. You know what I mean? One thing, if they didn't know, they know the whole stuff. They watch History Channel. So, yeah.
So, okay. We've already discussed in previous discussions some of the reasons, but let's emphasize two of them. They thought the worst was over. They thought that God wouldn't do this again.
Yeah. God
wouldn't do this to us again, would he?
They keep saying never again.
Well, what they really mean is you wouldn't do it to us again, would he?
Yeah.
What never again is supposed to mean is that we're not going to let this happen again.
Yeah.
But what does that mean?
Yeah.
That means fight, confrontation.
Yeah.
right?
Well, to them
So
it means just like keep they're talking about just only anti-Semitism.
no,
And
no, no.
they
I
and
know
they're
what it,
like keep the conversation going so that you have a consciousness and blah 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 blah. Meanwhile, we're getting hacked up to pieces on Hanukkah in Muncie, but that's apart from that.
I know.
Hmm.
I know what they actually mean. I'm just saying what it's supposed to mean. It's supposed to mean is to fight. Okay?
Yeah.
So basically, but it's doubly difficult.
Yeah.
Because if you had to fight, if it was, let's say, all the leaders, all the rabbis.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even call them that, but all the quote unquote fake rabbis.
All the guys with smicha, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Which isn't even smicha anymore.
You know what it is like. You know who chooses the rabbis? The same people who choose Justin Trudeau.
Yes.
Or Barack Obama.
It's like some sort of backroom, smoke-filled elite.
Well, that's true too, but that's not what I was saying.
Oh.
I'm gonna paraphrase Gavin McInnes here.
Oh gosh.
What? Oh, this is good. You're gonna love this. Yeah. So he's like women. They chose Justin Trudeau.
Yeah. That's actually true, man.
Because he's cute.
Dude, I went to my sister's graduation in NYU, and he gave the commencement speech in Yankee Stadium. My mom is sitting there. My parents paid, I don't want to say how much they paid for my sister's education, and my mom is like, "This guy is a retarded Disney prince."
Yeah,
they're screaming for a Disney prince. All these girls.
Correct. The babysitters got Justin Trudeau elected as the president of Canada. The babysitters.
Yeah.
Okay. Not even like women, but the babes. But dude, the babysitters are now 40.
Yeah.
That's what. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Okay. They got no common sense. They vote completely emotional.
Yeah.
Everything is emotion. Emotions trump everything.
Yep.
You understand?
Yep.
They don't. So I'm painting with a broad brush.
Yeah.
Obviously, but no one can deny if you're truly being honest with yourself, the just tidal wave of vapid women of our generation.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is who decides. It becomes a popularity contest.
It's like high school.
The rabbi is the guy. He's the charming guy who is kind of popular. He has a little bit of charisma. And the ladies like to come and listen to him.
Yeah.
That's not rabbi. That's not a rabbi.
I know.
Okay. So anyway, so I think it was just important. So, but nevertheless, okay. It says in the Torah that the leaders of your generation are the ones you deserve.
Of course.
So, okay, let's call these the leaders that we deserve, okay? So, if that's the case, then now you got to fight. Remember the never again stuff, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's easier to fight if it's non-Jews that are trying to do this to you, right?
Of course.
But you're not going to fight your own leaders, right? That's completely something different. That's
the whole hop. It's incredible. I've been thinking about that.
Right? So I don't blame the Jewish people for what is happening to them. Once again, I blame God. It always goes back to God. If you're going to say "Ein od milvado," then put the blame where it belongs. Okay?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I'm not denying God's existence. I'm not denying that he's the king and the ruler and the creator and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, don't look away from him when it's convenient for you.
Yeah, but what if our behavior did this? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. all right, that's a possibility, I suppose, but it just feels it.
Dude, have you
I don't
seen
know.
that video from those rabbis? I'm not gonna say where. Where there's one of them is like, I mean, there's a few of them there, and one of them's like, "What's the shaila? Come on, go get the thing. What's the shaila?" I wanted to reach through the screen and just like slap him
Dude,
awake.
it's basically over.
Yeah.
Like before, like you would think that you can go into, let's say, you go to a big yeshiva, right?
Yeah.
And the Rosh Yeshiva is someone you can count on, right? Maybe not to be the nicest fellow,
yeah,
right? But at least be a rock, right?
Like leadership,
a rock of Torah, a no nonsense, a leader, right? I don't know how true that is anymore.
No.
Now I know that there are dayanim that once shown what's going on, that they have forbidden whoever their communities are from going to get the vaccine anymore. Yeah. We know that. Yeah. In Yerushalayim, we know that, and also in America too. But there's fake news within the Jewish people too. Right. Like we have our own fake news that won't report on that.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. And everybody, like, they kind of like get around to mentioning Rav Kanievsky, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Has Rav Kanievsky made any public statements?
He didn't make any statement. He didn't make any psak. Everything we hear is like hearsay from his. It may not even be from his grandson, who's the gabbai. We don't know. And then when people come, secular people, right? They never care what a rabbi says. Now they care. Times of Israel cares what Rabbi Kanievsky says about the smacks. Like, it's so cynical, to say the least.
Yeah, so I think that is really, if you're going to fight, I think that the Jewish people were at least mentally prepared, or not. They were not mentally prepared, really, but they always imagined if they had to fight, it would be, the standard enemy, as it's, the pattern through history. Brother Esav.
Yeah.
Brother, Uncle Yishmael.
Yep.
Right? And they never expected it to be what it is. That's really what it is. That's what did it. It wasn't Naftali Bennett. Like, for instance, can you tell me what's going on with the Ger Hasidim in Israel? Are they on board with this?
Most of the Hasidim are not on board with any of this. Like, I ran into this rabbi that I know who's a yeshivish, and he's like, oh, he wanted to invite me to his house. He's like, how come you didn't, I'm like, it was right before Hag. I didn't have the time to have a whole discussion with him. And I'm just like, started telling him something. He kind of cut me off, and he's like, all the rabbis said to take it. I'm like, no, not all the rabbis. Like, all the big rabbis. I'm like, I go to him, go to Mea Shearim and talk to some big rabbis, and you'll plot. So please, no. I understand you're like, I was like telling him, like, don't patronize me, Like, most of the Hasid, there's a whole list. I need to find it. I need to ask my friend to find it for me. There's a whole list of big rabbis in these communities.
Dude, find a list and publish it. It's important. Like, do you think you could find it now, like today?
I can, yeah, I could try, but I don't remember the name of it. There was a website. I'll find it. I'll find it on DuckDuckGo. They probably have it there.
We got to start nailing this stuff down,
Yeah. Listen, you know what I realized at the end of the day? It's like, and this is something I also want to, like, you always think like, well, you got to come prepared with evidence.
Greg, one second.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Sorry, dude.
That's good.
My wife is chasing one of the cats around, and she's like, "Poochie, poochie, poochie," like that.
Yeah.
I think some of that got caught on.
Yeah,
she wouldn't be happy.
that's how we roll. Also.
All right. Sorry. Continue, please.
No.
Apologize.
So what was I saying?
We're talking about that list of rabbis, and you said something after that.
I honestly don't remember. No, you're saying it's important to publish the list. Oh, I was just saying how like people don't like when you argue with people, they don't care. Like you can bring evidence, and nobody like accepts it.
Right, because it means, look, they stop listening to you because anything that you say that goes against the decision that they've made is gonna remind them that they screwed up big time.
Yeah.
And also that they would have to fight somebody that they are not prepared to fight.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like, that's the foundation. Like, if you right, if you fight the rabbi, right?
Yeah.
Then what does that mean? But people don't want to look at that. The implications of that. They're scared. They don't think their faith will survive that confrontation. That's really what it comes down to. Right? How could God allow the person that you trust to teach you about God, to guide you the right way? Why would God give us a leader like this?
It's crazy,
right?
The only answer is that he's trying to eliminate institutions and show us that the only way forward is Mashiach. The only leader is Mashiach.
That's what I'm hoping is the case. It must be the case, because there is a Mashiach-sized vacuum. Do you understand? Like there's a hole that is in the shape of Mashiach that only Mashiach could fill. Like that's how big the vacuum is of leadership. Right now, there is no leadership at all.
Yeah.
Interesting that you were reading that op-ed about how they were talking about the Rebbe, he didn't appoint a successor, and yet and they were trying to explain how come Chabad keeps functioning, right? That's what he said. Yeah. But in reality, Chabad is massively growing.
He doesn't understand that it's not about having a charismatic guy anymore. Like he thinks it's like an organization. He doesn't understand that it's also for him.
I'll tell you what the Shulchan think. You can make your own decision. Mm-hmm. And on this instance, I agree with them. The reason that the Rebbe never appointed a successor was because there is no successor. That even though the quote unquote throne looks empty, it's not. I'm not saying that the Rebbe is physically alive in some kind of invisible body. I'm sure that somebody's going to want to interpret it that way. Okay?
Yeah.
What they're saying is what they would say about what has been said about every true tzaddik, right? That whereas souls of average people, they go to the world of the souls. They go to the great, to the retirement home in the sky.
Yeah.
So basically, but that's not where tzaddikim go. They stay here. And apparently, somehow, I don't know how, but it's been said that their ability to affect the world only increases after they are not bound to their physical body. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know what that means, but the same Chazal that I believe about everything else made that statement.
Yeah.
So, I'll take it on faith. You know what? Let me explain what I mean. This is the kind of faith I'm talking about. So my grandma, Baba Fira, no, I'm not joking, Baba Fira.
Yeah.
She was like a human calculator. She can calculate gigantic numbers, like almost instantaneously. She was just able to do that. Yeah. And so I would give her, like, I'd have a calculator, and she passed away when I was 11. But I'd have a calculator, and I'd be like, Babushka, what's this number times this number? Whatever I would tell her, she would always answer me, and I would check it with the calculator, right? I was like amazed. Okay, so let's say I need to ask her to, what is this times that, right? Some huge number. And I don't have a calculator to check her in that one instance. I'll take her word for it. That's what I mean. Okay? So when I studied statements of the Chazal in depth, and I was, lucky enough to have somebody around who could explain it to me, the way I like, I was always like blown away. I've never been disappointed. Never. Not once. This particular idea, I have never had it explained. It's possible that certain ideas are beyond me. Maybe this is one of them. I don't know. I never had a chance to study it. Nevertheless, it's there. They say that a tzaddik, a true tzaddik, stays in this world and continues working on what he was doing before. And he's able to affect people, and he's much less limited than he was in his body, okay, which is called the guf gas. Our physical corporeal bodies is called the guf gas. Okay? We have another body. Some people, I guess, like if I've heard it referred to as the astral body. I'm not sure what an astral body is. But there's this idea of light and vessel, right? You heard this before? Like all of Kabbalah comes down to lights and vessels. You with me, Greg? Hello? Greg? Greg, are you on mute? Are you alive? Should I call the cops? Greg! I'm going to find out what's going on with Greg, and we'll get back to you.